You can see we've got a ton of boats near the stern of the vessel. There's a lot here, and there's so many that people are actually clipping through the boats there. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and in today's video, we're back in Vehicle Simulator, and today, we're checking out Olympic again, but not regular Olympic, wartime Olympic. So yeah guys, let's get into the video. Alright, here we are in Liverpool, and as you can see, we have the wonderful RMS Olympic sitting by the dock here. Now, before we get started, I do want to mention a good friend of mine, Historic Travels, has made a multi-part series on the RMS Olympic. So if you want to check that out, there will be a link in the top right corner. It is really detailed, and I do recommend it. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with a little bit of history about the Olympic during wartime. Alright, so on the 4th of August, 1914, Britain entered the First World War. Now, actually, during the time, Olympic was still in commercial service, which meant that they had to paint the ship in a gray color scheme. They blocked up the portholes, the lights on the deck were turned off, and they basically wanted to make the ship less visible out at sea. It was only by mid-October that year that Olympic was finally pulled out of service because of German U-boats, and she left on October 21st, 1914 from New York for Glasgow. That was her last voyage, and then after that she would be converted into a troop ship. However, it wasn't until 1916 that the ship was painted in its famous Dazzle paint scheme. Now, as we all know, the Olympic actually struck and sank a U-boat. This was on the 12th of May in 1918, and what happened was U-103 was passing in front of the Olympic. The Olympic struck it, and then as it passed by, the propeller pretty much did it in, and it sank that U-boat. And after that, in 1919, it was returned to its classic colors and was returned back to the White Star Line, and it continued its career moving forward. So yeah, the Olympic has an amazing history, and I didn't mention the wartime part of the history when I did my original Olympic video on Vehicle Simulator. So yeah, and if you do want to see more, remember, check the top right corner because Historic Travels has a great multi-part series about it. So yeah, let's go ahead and check out the Olympic. Alright, so there are two versions of the Olympic we're going to be looking at. This one here and the Dazzle Scheme one. So this one has a few interesting designs incorporated into it based off how the original Olympic looked. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. Alright, so starting with the forecastle deck and moving our way aft, the first thing that we do see is a gun on a platform over the forward cargo hold, which makes me wonder, would you even use that forward cargo hold, or was it just rendered inoperable with that gun over top? Would you have to get a crane to lift that whole platform up, or was it even worth doing that? I don't know. Seems interesting, but if we make our way further aft from here, we'll see that we have these canvas boxes sitting on the deck near the third cargo hold here. So that's quite interesting. I don't actually know what that is, but if someone in the comments can tell me what it is, or if this was really on the ship, that would be appreciated. So moving further aft from there, well, we've got a lot of staircases to contend with here. You can see, well, we've got the original one, which we all know from the Olympic class liners, which is right here. And then if you come over here, you can actually see that we have another staircase on the port side. And then if we go over here, you can see another staircase on the starboard side. And then we have the mother of all staircases here. We have one going all the way from the well deck up to A deck. And what's interesting about these added staircases is if we go over here, you'll notice that they actually just go over the banister. They don't actually cut through the banister, or they didn't actually cut the banister and put the staircase so it just goes through, and you know, that just seems a little weird to me, but I don't know, it's interesting. But anyways, we'll move on. Alright, so we've made our way up to the boat deck here, and as you can see, we've got a lot more lifeboats than there were on the 1913 version of the ship. In the 1913 version of the ship, we had all of these davits, but we only had one boat per davit, which was enough to satisfy all of the people on board if the ship started sinking. But here, there's going to be troop carrying capabilities, and more lifeboats is better. So yeah, as you can see, very, very nice, and it looks great. Now on the bridge, you'll notice there is the Monkey's Island. We finally see it for the first time on the ship. So in the original Olympic video, I went from the original Olympic all the way through to the final Olympic, and I basically skipped the wartime version, and the Monkey's Island was added during the wartime version, so it's worth noting here. As you can see, there's the Monkey Island. Alright, here we are at the stern of the Olympic, and as you can see, some new radial davits have been installed, along with 2 new lifeboats. And now we see a bridge, which basically connects the 2 sets of B deck, and I don't exactly know the full purpose of that. I guess just to allow troops to get from one end of the ship to the other faster, but yeah, it's there and it looks interesting. Over here we can see we have 2 more lifeboats, and obviously these are not canvas covered ones, they're just sitting out here just in case all else fails or something like that. But yeah, and at the very back of the fantail we have a gun and what looks to be something overhanging the stern. Not quite sure what that is. And once again, if anyone in the comments knows, I would love to know, because I know very little about the wartime Olympics. So yeah, now we do have interior, but there are no interior changes to look at in this build, so we're gonna go ahead and skip that. But we are actually gonna go ahead and start up the ship and get it moving. Alright, so as you can see, the massive blades are beginning to turn and the ship is slowly beginning to move. And we're going to get this thing out to sea, and then we're going to look at the Dazzle paint scheme and how it worked on the high seas, because some people don't quite understand how the Dazzle worked, and I'll give you a bit of a demonstration so you can understand a little bit better on how it works. Now, I have seen a few comments asking me to take a look at the boiler rooms, and yeah, here they are. They're pretty simple, but I usually don't take a look at them because they're underwater and whatnot, and it does make it a little difficult to review them. But yeah, as you can see, they're in a quite tight space, and obviously that's normal for a ship's boiler room. It's very restricted, and yeah, but it looks really, really nice. So yeah, and we also have an engine room, but unfortunately, if we just go over to it real quick, you can see it doesn't really exist. I mean, we have the main room, but the engines aren't there. I know they exist, but I don't know why they're not appearing here. But yeah, cool nonetheless. I've gone ahead and set the time to sunset here, and it really does look spectacular as the ship begins to plow through the water and make its way out to sea. So yeah, just really a nice sight here. Alright, so I've gone to the dock side, and as you can see, here comes the Olympic passing by. What an incredible sight that is to see it go out to sea. Just a genuine beast of a machine. Alright, now that we're out to sea, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the second version of the HMT Olympic, the Dazzle paint scheme, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and show you how the Dazzle paint scheme works. Alright, so here we are out at sea, and as you can see, we have the Dazzle paint scheme. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at the decks one more time here, because a few things have changed from the last version. So yeah, let's take a look. So starting at the forecastle deck, it seems like that gun was removed, so apparently they did want to use that forward cargo hold. But moving aft from there, you can see we still have those canvas boxes, we still have those weird staircases, but we do have a gun on the starboard side here. So yeah, we actually have one on the port side as well. I didn't notice that until just now. But yeah, as you can see, we also have some davits here, or what look to be davits. They could just be small cranes or whatnot. That could be used for lifting stuff and whatnot, but yeah. Now, both on the port and starboard side, we have new bridge wings added. These are obviously temporary installments, and they have some Morse lamps on them. Some actual decent Morse lamps compared to the small ones on the original bridge wings. So yeah. Now, looking on the port side here, you can see all of the lifeboats, or the first sets of boats, are swung out and lowered down to the promenade deck. Now, at the raised roof over the lounge, we have 4 boats added here, but that's not the only place where boats are added. If we go around here, you can see we've got a ton of boats near the stern of the vessel. There's a lot here, and there's so many that people are actually clipping through the boats there. But yeah, and if we make our way to the stern, you can see that some interesting things have changed here. One of the biggest things added here is a motorboat. As you can see, this is replacing the original just rowboat that was here, or the regular lifeboat that you would see on the Olympic class liners. So yeah, and you'll also notice that the gun is now no longer here on the stern of the vessel, but that canister is on the left. So very interesting. Alright, so those are pretty much all the changes of the HMT Olympic Dazzle version. So we're going to go ahead, get this thing going, and I'll show you how the Dazzle version actually worked. Alright, with the Olympic moving, let's go ahead and start with the little experiment here. So as you can see, the ship is moving, we can tell which way it's going, and this is probably the best case scenario for a U-boat. It's a clear day, there's no heavy waves or anything like that, the ship is moving in a defined direction and turning. But what if we do this? Now, conditions like this that you would see in a common Atlantic storm would definitely obscure how you would see the Olympic. I can barely tell whether that's the front of the ship or the back of the ship, although I do know that that's the front of the ship. But if my binoculars were covered in rain, it could be very difficult to identify what part of the ship that is. And it would only be when the ship would actually notice us that we would notice which way it was going. And that's why camouflage works. However, it can be easy to spot the ship if it's a clear day or something like that. It's only when there's certain conditions that this actually works. Now, obviously, the ship is close enough to where we can tell, oh, I can see the mast, I can see the funnels, I can see the actual point of the bow, I'm starting to see shadows, and now I can identify the shape. But in a U-boat with heavy storm going on, rain, fog, wind, and whatnot, it could be very difficult to tell which way the Olympic is going, which way it's facing, and pretty much what speed it's going at as well. So, yeah. But I do have to admit, this is a pretty epic shot right here. The Olympic plowing through these massive waves, just not giving a care in the world. Awesome. Alright, so I think the Olympic has lived long enough. We're going to go ahead and sink it here. And unfortunately, there is no sinking animation, so we're going to have to do it manually. So, yeah. Alright, the Olympic is now sinking, and it's going down quite slowly, actually. I was expecting, like, an almost immediate sinking. And, oh, there it goes. Now the speed is diminishing. The ship is really starting to sit lower in the water, and yeah, here it goes. As you can see, the Olympic is settling into the water, slightly rolling over here, and finally just rolling over a little bit, and then going under. So that is the Olympic, but let's go ahead and follow it to the bottom. Wow, that sank really quick. By the time I got down here, the ship had already hit the bottom, but as you can see, a very eerie sight as the Olympic sits on the bottom, almost like a Raise the Titanic situation here, where it doesn't break in half, it's not lying on its side, and it's just upright like that, but very cool. So yeah, that has been the HMT Olympic. A download will be in the description below. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.